The station never slept. Corinth 7 floated in the darkness of space, spinning slowly around a massive gas giant that filled half the sky with swirling colors of orange and red. Thousands of beings from dozens of worlds lived and worked here, buying and selling, fixing ships, moving cargo, and chasing dreams of wealth among the stars. Kim Do-hyun was not chasing any dream. He was just trying to survive. He walked through the market district after his 12-hour shift, his muscles aching and his clothes stained with grease. At 34 years old, he had worked on this station for 6 years, loading and unloading cargo containers that weighed more than he did. The pay was not great, but it was honest work. Every month, he sent most of his money back to Earth, to his younger sister who was studying to become a doctor. The market was crowded as always. Aliens of all shapes and sizes pushed past each other, shouting in languages that Do-hyun did not understand. Tall, insect-like creatures sold glowing fruits. Short, furry beings argued over the price of engine parts. Floating machines advertised products in bright holographic colors. The smell of strange foods mixed with the metallic taste of recycled air. Do-hyun kept his head down and walked. Humans were not important in this part of the galaxy. They had no great empire, no powerful weapons, no ancient history. Most aliens saw humans as small, weak, and unremarkable. Do-hyun had learned long ago that it was better to stay quiet and stay out of trouble. But today, something made him stop. He was passing a row of cargo containers near the edge of the market when he heard a small sound. It was soft, almost hidden by the noise of the crowd, but Do-hyun heard it clearly. It was the sound of crying. He looked around. Other beings walked past without stopping. They did not hear it, or they did not care. Do-hyun moved toward the containers. He looked into the dark space between two large metal boxes, and there he saw her. She was a child, a Valari child. The Valari were one of the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. They were known for their advanced technology, their proud culture, and their important role in galactic politics. Most humans had never even seen a Valari in person, but this Valari was very small. She could not have been older than 6 or 7 years in human terms. She was crouched in the shadows, her thin arms wrapped around her knees, her body shaking. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Her face was wet with tears. When she saw Do-hyun, she pressed herself against the container wall. Her dark eyes went wide with fear. Do-hyun felt his heart break. He did not know what to do. He knew that getting involved with other species' problems was dangerous. He knew that the Valari were proud and might not want a human's help. He knew that he could get in trouble with station security. But she was just a child. A scared, hungry, lost child. Do-hyun slowly knelt down. He made himself as small as he could. He held up his hands to show he meant no harm. "Hey," he said softly. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The girl did not understand his words. Her translator device, if she had one, was probably lost or broken. But she understood his voice. She understood that he was speaking gently. Do-hyun reached into his pocket and pulled out a protein bar. It was his dinner, the only food he had until tomorrow. He held it out toward her. "Are you hungry?" he asked. The girl looked at the food. She looked at Do-hyun's face. For a long moment, she did not move. Then, slowly, she reached out her thin hand. She took the protein bar. She unwrapped it with shaking fingers and bit into it. She ate like she had not eaten in days. Do-hyun watched her. He felt angry that someone so young was alone and afraid. He felt sad that no one else had stopped to help her. He felt worried about what would happen to her. "What's your name?" he asked, even though he knew she could not understand. The girl finished eating. She looked at him again. Something in her eyes changed. The fear was still there, but now there was something else too. A tiny bit of trust. She pointed to herself and made a sound. It was a Valari word, musical and complex, but part of it sounded almost like a name Do-hyun knew. "Yuna," he said. The girl nodded. Do-hyun smiled. "That's a pretty name. I'm Do-hyun." He pointed to himself. Do-hyun. Do-hyun, the girl repeated slowly. Her pronunciation was not perfect, but she tried. At that moment, a loud sound filled the market. Do-hyun looked up and saw security drones flying overhead. They were scanning the crowd, searching for something. Or someone. Yuna saw them too. She grabbed Do-hyun's arm with both hands and pressed herself against him. She was terrified. Do-hyun understood. Whatever had happened to this child, she was in danger. These drones were looking for her. And whoever sent them might not have good intentions. He had a choice to make. He could walk away. He could leave her here and go back to his small room and his quiet life. No one would blame him. No one would even know. Or he could help her. Do-hyun looked down at the small hands holding his arm. He looked at the fear in her dark eyes. He thought about his own sister back on Earth and how scared she had been when their parents died. He remembered holding her hand and promising that everything would be okay. He had kept that promise. He had taken care of her. He had worked every day so she could have a better life. Now another child needed help, and Do-hyun was the only one there. He made his choice. "Come with me," he said quietly. He stood up and gently pulled Yuna to her feet. "I'll keep you safe." Yuna did not understand his words, but she understood his meaning. She held his hand tightly and followed him. Do-hyun led her through the crowd, walking quickly but not running. Running would attract attention. He kept his head down and moved toward the worker housing district where he lived. It was not a nice place, but it was away from the main areas where security would search. As they walked, Do-hyun felt the weight of what he was doing. He was hiding an alien child from station authorities. He was getting involved in something much bigger than himself. He had no plan, no resources, no power. But he also felt something else, something he had not felt in a long time. Purpose. The drones flew overhead, their lights scanning the crowd. Do-hyun pulled Yuna closer and kept walking. They were almost at the housing district. Almost safe. Behind them, the market continued its endless noise. Aliens bought and sold. Ships came and went. The universe carried on without caring about one small human and one lost Valari child. But in that moment, walking through the crowd with Yuna's hand in his, Do-hyun knew that he had started something important. He did not know where this path would lead. He did not know what dangers waited ahead. He only knew that he could not leave a child alone and afraid. That was enough. Do-hyun's room was small. It had a bed, a table, a chair, and a tiny bathroom. The walls were gray metal. The single window looked out at the pipes and machinery that kept the station running. It was not a home. It was just a place to sleep. But to Yuna, it was safety. The girl sat on Do-hyun's bed, wrapped in his only blanket. She was still scared, still shaking a little. But she was no longer crying. She watched Do-hyun with her large, dark eyes as he moved around the room, trying to figure out what to do. He had brought her here without a plan. Now he needed to make one. First, he needed to understand what had happened to her. But they could not communicate properly. Her translator was gone, and he did not speak Valari. He had only a basic translation app on his old communicator, and it was slow and often wrong. He sat down on the floor across from her and held up his communicator. He spoke slowly. "What happened to you? Where is your family?" The app translated his words into Valari sounds. Yuna listened carefully. Then she spoke back, and the app tried to translate her words into basic English. The translation was broken and confusing, but Do-hyun understood enough. Pirates. Her ship was attacked by pirates. There was fire and screaming. Her mother put her in an escape pod and told her to hide. The pod floated through space for a long time. Then it crashed into this station. Her mother's name was Yunji. She was a diplomat, an important person among the Valari. She was traveling to another world for peace talks. Yuna did not know if her mother was alive or dead. Do-hyun felt cold anger rise in his chest. Pirates attacking a diplomatic ship, trying to kill or capture a child. There were some evils in the universe that he would never understand. "We need to find your mother," he said. "We need to tell her you're safe." But that was not simple. If he contacted Valari Space through official channels, the wrong people might find out. The pirates, or whoever had sent them, might be watching. They might come for Yuna. And there was another problem. Station security was looking for her. The announcement had said they were searching for a missing Valari child at the request of concerned parties. But Do-hyun did not trust it. If someone really cared about Yuna, why was she alone and scared? Why had no one helped her in the market? No, someone else wanted to find her. Someone dangerous. Do-hyun needed time to think. But right now, Yuna needed basic things: food, rest, comfort. He gave her water and more food from his small supply. He would have to buy more tomorrow, even though his credits were limited. He showed her how to use his bathroom. He tried to make her comfortable. When night came, he told her to sleep in his bed. He would sleep on the floor. Yuna shook her head. She pointed at him, then at the bed, then at herself, then at the floor. She was saying that he should take the bed. Do-hyun smiled. Even scared and lost, she was trying to be polite. "No," he said gently. "You're the guest. You take the bed." He lay down on the hard floor with his jacket as a pillow. It was uncomfortable, but he had slept in worse places. Before he worked on this station, he had worked on mining ships where the crew slept in shifts on the same dirty mattress. This was fine. In the darkness, he heard Yuna's breathing become slow and steady. She was asleep. Do-hyun stared at the ceiling. What was he doing? He was a cargo worker. He had no power, no connections, no weapons. How could he protect this child? How could he find her mother? He thought about giving up. He thought about going to station security and handing Yuna over. It would be easier. It would be safer for him. But then he thought about his sister. After their parents died, everyone told him to give up. "Put her in government care," they said. "You're too young to raise a child. You don't have enough money." He did not listen. He worked 3 jobs. He sacrificed everything. He made sure his sister had food and clothes and books. He helped her with homework. He held her when she cried. Now she was in medical school. She was going to be a doctor. She was going to save lives. He did not give up on her. He would not give up on Yuna. The next morning, Do-hyun went to work as usual. He could not stay home without attracting attention. He told Yuna to stay inside, to be quiet, and to not open the door for anyone. She nodded seriously. She understood. At work, he tried to act normal, but his mind was racing, trying to figure out his next move. That was when Park Jisoo found him. Jisoo was a human woman who worked in the same cargo section. She was about Do-hyun's age, with short hair and sharp eyes. She was smart and tough, and she did not trust easily. But she and Do-hyun had worked together for years. They were not exactly friends, but they respected each other. She walked up to him during a break. Her face was serious. "What's going on with you?" she asked quietly. "Nothing," Do-hyun said. "I'm fine." "You're lying. You've been acting strange since yesterday. You keep looking around like you're scared of something, and I saw you buying extra food this morning. You never buy extra food. You send all your money to your sister." Do-hyun said nothing. Jisoo stepped closer. "There's a rumor going around. Security is looking for a Valari child. They say someone might be hiding her." She looked into his eyes. "Is it you?" Do-Yun thought about lying again. But Jisoo was too smart. She would know. He made a decision. He needed help. He could not do this alone. Yes, he said quietly. I found her in the market. She was alone and scared. Her ship was attacked by pirates. I think someone bad is looking for her. Jisoo stared at him for a long moment. Then she said a word that was not polite. Do you know how much trouble you're in? She asked. Hiding an alien child from security? If they find out, they'll throw you off this station. Or worse. I know. Then why are you doing it? Do-Hyun thought about the question. Because she needed help. And I was there. Jisoo shook her head. But she did not walk away. She stood there, thinking. Her mother is a diplomat? She asked. Yes. Her name is Yoonji. If we can contact her directly, she can come get her daughter, but we can't use official channels. I know, that's the problem. Jisoo was quiet for a moment. Then she sighed. I know someone. He works in the communication hub. He's not completely honest, but he owes me a favor. He might be able to send a private message to Valari Space. Do-Yun felt hope rise in his chest. You would do that? You would help me? I would help the kid, Jisoo said. I don't like seeing children in danger, and I don't like the people who hurt them. She looked at Do-Yun with serious eyes. But if this goes wrong, we're both finished. You understand that? I understand, Jisoo nodded. Then let's get to work. That night, Do-Hyun returned to his room with more food and a small translation device he had bought with his last credits. It was better than his old app. Now he and Yuna could talk more easily. They talked for hours. She told him about her homeworld, about the beautiful cities that floated in the clouds, about her mother who was always busy but always made time to read her stories before bed. She told him about her favorite foods and her pet creature, and her dreams of becoming an explorer. Do-Hyun told her about Earth, about the blue oceans and green forests, about his sister who was going to be a doctor, about his parents who died when he was young, and how he learned that family was not about blood, but about love and care, and showing up when it mattered. Yuna listened carefully. When he finished, she reached out and touched his hand. You are kind, she said through the translator. The Valari have a word for people like you. It means one who carries light in the darkness. Do-Yun did not know what to say. No one had ever called him that before. That night, as Yuna slept, Do-Yun looked out the small window at the stars. Somewhere out there, Yoonji was searching for her daughter. Somewhere out there, dangerous people were searching too. The race had begun, and Do-Hyun was in the middle of it. He did not know if he would win. He did not know if he could keep Yuna safe. But he knew he would try. That was all he could do. Try. And sometimes trying was enough. 3 days passed. 3 days of hiding, waiting, and hoping. Jisoo's contact in the communication hub was a nervous man named Bae Sun-woo. He was thin and pale, with the look of someone who spent too much time in front of screens and not enough time in sunlight. He was not brave, and he did not like taking risks, but Jisoo had helped him out of trouble once, and he owed her. This is dangerous, he said when they met in a quiet corner of the station. Sending private messages to Valari Space? If anyone finds out, I'll lose my job. Maybe worse. We know, Jisoo said, but this is important. A child's life is at stake. Sun-woo looked at Do-Yun. And you're the one hiding her? Yes. Why? She's not your kind. She's not your responsibility. Do-Yun thought about the question. He had been asked it many times in the past 3 days. By Jisoo, by himself. The answer was always the same. Because she needed help, he said. That's all. Sun-woo stared at him for a long moment. Something in his face changed. Maybe it was respect. Maybe it was confusion. Do-Hyun could not tell. Fine, Sun-woo said finally. I'll send the message, but I'm routing it through 6 different systems, so it can't be traced back to me. It will take time. How much time? A day, maybe 2. Do-hyun nodded. Thank you. They sent the message that night. It was simple and careful, written in a way that only Yoonji would understand. It told her that Yuna was safe, that she was being protected, and that they needed to arrange a meeting point away from official channels. Then they waited. Do-hyun continued to go to work. He continued to act normal, but inside, he was counting every minute. Every hour that passed was another chance for the wrong people to find Yuna. On the second day, something changed. Do-hyun was loading cargo when he noticed a group of beings he had not seen before. They were standing near the entrance of the cargo bay, watching the workers. They were dressed in plain clothes, but they moved like soldiers. Their eyes scanned the room with cold focus. One of them looked directly at Do-hyun. Their eyes met for just a moment. Then the being looked away. Do-hyun felt ice in his stomach. They were searching. They were getting closer. He needed help. More help than just Jisoo and Sunwoo could give. That evening, Jisoo introduced him to someone new. His name was Kwon Minho, and he was a security officer on the station. Do-hyun was immediately worried. Security was looking for Yuna. Why would Jisoo bring him to a security officer? But Jisoo explained. Minho was different. He was honest in a place where honesty was rare. He cared about justice, not just following orders, and he did not trust the people who had requested the search for the Valari child. Something is wrong about this whole thing, Minho said when they met. He was a solid man with a calm face and careful eyes. The request came from outside the station. The people who sent it won't identify themselves. They say it's for the child's safety, but they won't tell us who she is or why she's in danger. He looked at Do-hyun. I think they're the danger. They are, Do-hyun said. He told Minho everything. The pirate attack, Yoonji the diplomat, the people searching for Yuna. Minho listened without interrupting. When Do-hyun finished, the officer was quiet for a long moment. If I help you, Minho said slowly, I'm going against my own department. I could lose my job. I could be arrested. I know, Do-hyun said. I'm not asking you to help. I'm just telling you the truth. You decide what to do with it. Minho looked at him. You really don't care what happens to you, do you? As long as the girl is safe. Do-hyun thought about it. I care. I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to lose my job. I want to keep sending money to my sister. He paused. But some things are more important than what I want. This is one of them. Minho nodded slowly. You're either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. For the first time, Minho smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. Okay, I'll help. But we need to be smart about this. I can delay the search in certain areas. I can give you warning if they get close, but I can't stop them completely. That's enough, Do-hyun said. Thank you. That night, Do-hyun returned to his room to find Yuna playing with the translator device. She had figured out how to access games and was happily moving colored shapes around on the screen. When she saw Do-hyun, she smiled brightly. That smile hit him like a punch to the heart. In just a few days, this girl had become important to him. Her laugh, her curiosity, her courage in the face of fear. She reminded him of his sister at that age. She reminded him of why he worked so hard, why he sacrificed so much. He sat down with her and watched her play. She explained the game to him, her words running together in excitement. He did not understand all of it, but he nodded and smiled. Later, when she was eating dinner, she asked him a question. Why do humans help strangers? Do-hyun was surprised. What do you mean? My teachers told me about humans, Yuna said. They said humans are strange. They have no great power, no old history. No big empire. But they do things that do not make sense. They help others even when it costs them. They risk themselves for beings they do not know. She looked at him with her large, dark eyes. Why? Do-hyun thought about the question for a long time. It was a big question. Maybe the biggest question anyone had ever asked him. I don't know why all humans do it, he said finally. I can only tell you why I do it. He leaned forward. When I was young, my parents died. I was alone with my sister. We had no money, no family, no one to help us. I was very scared. He paused. But people helped us. A neighbor gave us food. A teacher helped me find work. A doctor treated my sister for free when she was sick. They didn't know us. They got nothing for helping us. But they did it anyway. He looked at Yuna. I learned something from that. I learned that kindness is not about getting something back. It's about making the universe a little less cold, a little less dark. He touched his chest. When you help someone, something grows inside you. Something good, something warm. I don't have the right words for it, but it feels like being more human. Yuna was quiet. Then she said, I think the word is hope. Do-hyun smiled. Yes, maybe that's it. Hope. The next morning, Sunwoo sent them a message. There was a reply from Valari Space. Yeonji was alive. She had survived the attack. She had been searching desperately for her daughter, and now she was coming. Her ship would arrive at the station in 18 hours. Do-hyun felt relief flood through him. It was almost over. Yuna would be safe. She would be with her mother again. But Minho sent a message too, and it was not good. They know, the message said. The people looking for her. They traced something. They're sending a team. They'll be at the station in 12 hours. Do-hyun felt his relief turn to ice. Yoonji would arrive in 18 hours. The hunters would arrive in 12. That meant 6 hours where Yuna would be completely exposed. 6 hours was a long time, too long. Do-hyun looked at Yuna, who was getting ready for another day of hiding. She trusted him. She believed he would keep her safe. He could not let her down. He called Jisoo and Minho. They met in his room that night. The four of them crowded into the small space. Yuna sat on the bed, watching the adults with serious eyes. We need a plan, Do-hyun said. We need to hide her for 6 hours after the hunters arrive. That's all. 6 hours. 6 hours is forever when people are actively searching, Minho said. They'll have scanners, trackers, probably weapons. They'll tear the station apart. Then we need to move her, Jisoo said. Keep her moving, so they can't pin her down. I can create false signals, Sunwoo offered. He had come too, looking nervous but determined. Make them think she's in different places, confuse them. I can slow them down officially, Minho said. Ask for identification, check their permits, make them follow protocols. It won't stop them, but it will buy time. Do-hyun listened to all of this. His friends were risking everything to help him, to help a child they did not even know. Thank you, he said. All of you. Jisoo punched his shoulder lightly. Don't thank us yet. We still have to survive this. They spent the night making plans. Routes through the station, hiding spots, signals and codes. It was not a perfect plan. There were too many things that could go wrong. But it was all they had. As the night grew late, Yuna fell asleep on the bed. The adults kept talking quietly, but Do-hyun kept looking at her. So small, so brave, so unaware of the danger coming for her. He made a silent promise. No matter what happened, he would protect her, even if it cost him everything. That was what humans did. That was what hope meant. The hunters arrived early. Do-hyun was in the market district with Yuna when Minho's warning came through his communicator. They're here, 10 hours ahead of schedule. They must have pushed their ship hard. Do-hyun's blood went cold. They had planned for 12 hours. Now they had only 8 before Yunji arrived. 8 hours of running and hiding. He grabbed Yuna's hand. "We need to move. Now." They had practiced this. Different routes, different hiding spots, but practice was not the same as real danger. Yuna could feel his fear. Her hand tightened on his. "It's okay," he told her, even though it was not okay. "I won't let anything happen to you." They moved through the station, trying to look normal. Just a human worker and a Valari child walking together. Nothing unusual, nothing to see. But the hunters were good. Within 2 hours, they had almost found them twice. Do-Yun saw them in the crowd, hard-faced aliens with cold eyes, scanning every face, checking every corner. They were professionals. They would not stop until they had what they wanted. Sun Wu's false signals helped for a while. The hunters chased ghosts across the station, wasting time on empty rooms and wrong turns. But they were learning. They were getting smarter. Minho did what he could. He stopped the hunters at checkpoints, asked for identification, demanded to see permits. But they had all the right documents. They had all the right answers. He could only slow them down, not stop them. By the 4th hour, the hunters had narrowed their search to the lower sections of the station, the worker housing, the maintenance corridors, Do-Yun's territory. "They're closing in," Jisoo said through the communicator. She was watching from a different part of the station, tracking the hunters' movements. "You need to get out of there." "Working on it," Do-Hyun said. He and Yuna were in a maintenance corridor, a gray metal tunnel filled with pipes and wires. It was a good place to hide, but a bad place to be trapped. He heard footsteps ahead, then footsteps behind. They were surrounded. Do-Yun pulled Yuna into a small alcove behind some equipment. They pressed themselves against the wall, trying to be invisible. Yuna was shaking. She buried her face against Do-Hyun's chest. The footsteps came closer. Do-Yun could hear voices speaking in a language he did not understand. Then one voice switched to basic Galactic Common, the language most species shared. "The signal came from this section. She's close. Find her." Do-Yun's heart was pounding so hard he was sure they could hear it. He held Yuna tighter and did not breathe. The hunters searched the corridor. They looked behind equipment, inside storage boxes, under floor panels. One of them walked past the alcove where Do-Yun and Yuna were hiding. He was so close that Do-Hyun could see the weapon on his belt. The hunter looked right at the alcove. His eyes scanned the shadows. Then his communicator beeped. He answered it, listened for a moment, and then cursed. Another false signal, somewhere else. He turned and ran to join the others. Do-Hyun let out his breath. Close. Too close. They could not keep doing this. They could not hide for 4 more hours. They needed to make a stand. He contacted Minho. "Is there somewhere we can go? Somewhere public where they can't just grab her?" "The central hub," Minho said. "It's the main gathering place for the station. Lots of people, lots of cameras. They wouldn't try anything there." "Can you meet us?" "On my way." Do-Yun and Yuna moved through the maintenance corridors toward the central hub. Jisoo joined them on the way, appearing from a side passage with a determined look on her face. Together, the 3 of them walked into the light. The central hub was a large open space in the middle of the station. It had shops and restaurants and benches where beings from many worlds sat and talked. It was bright and crowded and public. It was the safest place they could be. But safety did not last long. They had been in the hub for only 20 minutes when the hunters found them. 5 of them walked into the space, spreading out to cover the exits. They did not draw weapons. They did not make threats. They just stood there, watching, waiting. The leader walked toward Do-Hyun's group. He was a large alien with scarred gray skin and eyes like black stones. He looked at Yuna, then at Do-Hyun. "You have something that belongs to us," he said. His voice was calm and flat. "Give her to us, and you can go back to your life. No trouble." Do-Hyun stepped in front of Yuna. She doesn't belong to you. She doesn't belong to anyone. She's a child. The hunter almost smiled. It was not a nice smile. You're human. I know about humans. Small, weak, no weapons, no ships, no power. What do you think you can do against us? Do-hyun felt fear in his stomach. The hunter was right. He was just a cargo worker. He had no training, no weapons, no special abilities. Against these professionals, he had no chance. But he also had no choice. I made a promise, Do-hyun said. I promised to keep her safe. I'm going to keep that promise. The hunter studied him. You would die for this child? This alien child who is not your blood, not your species, not your concern? Yes. The word came out without hesitation. Do-hyun was surprised by how calm he sounded. He was terrified, but he was also certain. Some things were worth dying for. This was one of them. Minho appeared from the crowd. He was in his security uniform, his hand on his weapon. These men have no authority on this station, he announced loudly. They have no right to take anyone. We have permits, the hunter said. I'm reviewing those permits. Until I'm finished, you don't touch anyone. The hunter's black eyes moved to Minho. You would risk your career for this? For a human and an alien child? Minho stood firm. I would. Jisoo stepped forward too. She had no weapon, but her fists were clenched and her face was hard. So would I. They were making a scene. People in the hub were stopping to watch. Cameras were recording. The hunters could not just grab Yuna and leave. They would have to explain themselves. They would have to answer questions. The leader saw this. His face did not change, but something in his eyes shifted. He was calculating. This is a mistake, he said quietly to Do-hyun. We will come back. We will take her. And anyone who stands in our way will suffer. Then we'll suffer, Do-hyun said. But we won't move. For a long moment, the hub was silent. The hunter and the human stared at each other. Neither looked away. Then the hunter turned to his team. He made a gesture. They began to leave, but he stopped and looked back at Do-hyun one more time. You are a strange species, he said. You have nothing. You can gain nothing, and yet you fight like you have everything to lose. We do, Do-hyun said. We have each other. That's everything. The hunter said nothing. He turned and walked away. His team followed. The crowd in the hub began to murmur. Other beings were watching the humans with strange expressions, curiosity, confusion, and something else. Something that might have been respect. Yuna grabbed Do-hyun from behind, wrapping her thin arms around him. She was crying. It's okay, he said softly. He turned and knelt down so he was at her level. We're okay. They're gone. They will come back, Yuna said through her tears. Maybe. But your mother will be here soon, and will protect you until then. Yuna looked at him with her large, dark eyes. Why do you do this? You could be hurt. You could be killed. Why? Do-hyun thought about the question. He thought about all the reasons he had given before. Kindness, hope, making the universe less cold. But in this moment, with this scared little girl in front of him, the answer was simpler than that. Because you needed me, he said. That's all. You needed me, and I was here. Yuna hugged him again. This time, she did not let go for a long time. Minho and Jisoo stood guard. Other beings in the hub kept watching. Some of them came closer, making a loose circle around the humans and the child. They did not speak, but their presence was clear. They were witnesses. They would not let violence happen in front of them. Something was changing in the hub. Do-hyun could feel it. The human stand had done something. It had shown something. He did not know what would happen next. The hunters were still out there. Yunji was still hours away. Anything could go wrong. But for this moment, they were safe. For this moment, they had won, and sometimes that was enough. The Valari ship came out of hyperspace like a star being born. It was massive and beautiful, with smooth curves and glowing lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. It moved toward the station with quiet power, and every being on Corinth 7 stopped to watch. Valari warships did not come to small stations like this. Something important was happening. Do-hyun stood in the central hub with Yuna, Jisoo, and Minho. They had been waiting for hours. The hunters had not returned, but Do-hyun knew they were still out there, watching. They were waiting for their chance. But their chance never came. Yoonji arrived with a guard of Valari soldiers in silver armor. She walked through the station like a queen, tall and elegant, her blue skin glowing softly in the artificial light. Other beings moved out of her way without being asked. She had the kind of presence that demanded respect without words, but all of that fell away when she saw Yuna. Her eyes went wide, her careful composure broke. She made a sound that Do-hyun did not need a translator to understand. It was the sound of a mother finding her lost child. "Yuna!" Yuna ran to her. They met in the middle of the hub and held each other tight. Yoonji was crying. Yuna was crying. They spoke in rapid Valari, words tumbling over each other, mother and daughter together again after days of fear and separation. Do-hyun watched with a lump in his throat. He thought about his own sister. He thought about how much he missed her, how much he wanted to see her again. He thought about how love could cross any distance, any difference, any danger. After a long moment, Yoonji looked up. Her eyes found Do-hyun. She said something to Yuna, and the girl nodded. Then Yoonji walked toward him. Do-hyun suddenly felt nervous. This was a Valari diplomat, an important person, someone with power and influence. He was just a cargo worker with grease stains on his clothes. Yoonji stopped in front of him. She was taller than him, and she looked down with those large, dark eyes that Yuna had inherited. "You are Kim Do-hyun," she said. Her basic galactic common was perfect. "You are the one who saved my daughter." "I just helped her," Do-hyun said. "She saved herself." Yoonji studied him for a long moment. Then, to his shock, she knelt down. A Valari diplomat, kneeling before a human cargo worker. Everyone in the hub stared. The Valari soldiers looked surprised. Even Jisoo and Minho looked shocked. Do-hyun tried to stop her. "Please, you don't have to." "I do," Yoonji said quietly. "Among my people, we believe that worth is measured by lineage, by power, by what one commands. We respect strength and wealth and ancient blood." She looked up at him. "But you have none of these things. You are human. Your species is young. You have no empire, no great technology, no history of conquest." She paused. "And yet you did what the powerful would not do. You helped a lost child. You protected her without reward. You risked everything for someone who was not your blood, not your kind, not your responsibility." She reached out and took his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth. "I have studied many species in my life," she said. "I have met kings and warriors and scholars, but I have never understood humans. Until now." Her voice was thick with emotion. "You taught me something, Kim Do-hyun. You taught me that true strength is not in what you have. It is in what you give. It is in choosing kindness when cruelty is easier. It is in standing up when everyone else looks away." She stood slowly, but she did not let go of his hand. "I owe you my daughter's life. I owe you a debt I can never fully repay." Do-hyun did not know what to say. His throat was tight. "I didn't do it for a reward." "I know," Yoonji said. "That is what makes it matter." She turned to address the crowd that had gathered. Beings of many species were watching, some who had seen the stand against the hunters, others who had just arrived. All of them were listening. "I came here to find my daughter," Yoonji said in a clear voice. "I found something more. I found proof that the universe is not as cold as I believed. She gestured to Do-hyun, to Jisoo, to Minho. These humans risked their lives for a child they had never met. They stood against danger with no weapons but their courage. They asked for nothing in return. She paused. Her eyes swept across the crowd. For too long, the great powers of this galaxy have ignored humanity. We have seen them as small and weak, not worth our attention. We were wrong. Her voice grew stronger. These humans have shown me what true civilization means. It is not about ships or weapons or wealth. It is about compassion. It is about standing for what is right even when it costs you everything. She raised her chin. I will return to my people and tell them what I have seen. I will recommend that the Valari Dominion formally propose humanity's inclusion in the Galactic Diplomatic Council, not because of what humans have, but because of what humans are. A murmur went through the crowd. The Galactic Diplomatic Council was the most powerful political body in the galaxy. Humanity had never been considered for membership. This was a moment that could change history. But Do-hyun was not thinking about history. He was thinking about Yuna, who had come to stand beside him. She took his hand and squeezed it. Thank you, she said, for the food, for the stories, for keeping me safe. Do-hyun knelt down so he was at her level. Thank you for being brave, and for teaching me that Valari word. Yuna smiled. The one who carries light in the darkness. Yes, he smiled back. I'll try to remember that. Yuna reached into her pocket and pulled out a small object. It was a charm made of some kind of crystal, shaped like a star with many points. It glowed faintly with inner light. This is a family charm, she said. We give it to people who are family. You are family now. Do-hyun took the charm. It was warm in his hand. He did not trust himself to speak. Yoonji spoke to him again before she left. She told him that she would cover his sister's education on Earth, all of it, through medical school and beyond. She offered him a position as a liaison between humans and Valari, a job with meaning and purpose. She offered him a future he had never imagined. Do-hyun accepted, not for himself, but because it would let him keep helping people, keep making a difference, keep being the person that Yuna believed he was. When the Valari ship departed, Do-hyun stood at a viewport and watched it go. The great vessel moved through space with silent grace, carrying Yuna and Yoonji back to their home. He held the crystal charm in his hand and felt its gentle warmth. Jisoo came to stand beside him. She had been offered a job, too, working in Valari diplomatic communications. She was still deciding whether to take it. So, she said, what are you thinking? Do-hyun thought about the question. He thought about everything that had happened. The scared girl in the market, the long nights on the hard floor, the moment when he stood in front of the hunters and refused to move. All of it had led here, to this moment, to a future he never expected. I'm thinking about what you said, he told her, when I first told you about Yuna. You asked why I was doing it. And you said because she needed help and you were there. Yes. He looked at the stars. I was just a guy who shared his lunch. I didn't think it was anything special. Jisoo laughed softly. That's the thing about humans. We never think kindness is special. We just think it's what you do. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Maybe that was true. Maybe that was why other species found humans so confusing. They looked for complicated reasons, grand strategies, hidden motives. They could not believe that someone would help a stranger just because the stranger needed help. But that was what humans did. They helped. They hoped. They kept going even when things were hard. Maybe that was their power. Not ships or weapons or technology, just the simple belief that kindness mattered. That one person could make a difference. That the universe did not have to be cold and dark. Do-hyun thought about his sister, who would become a doctor and heal people. He thought about Yuna, who would grow up and maybe become an explorer like she dreamed. He thought about all the lives he might touch in his new job, all the connections he might build between species. Small things leading to big things. One act of kindness creating ripples across the galaxy. He smiled. The ship was gone now, lost among the stars, but the warmth of the charm remained, and the warmth of hope. Do-Yun turned away from the window. There was work to do, a future to build, a universe to make a little less cold. He was ready.